Welcome back. This is Khalid Al-Badri. In the second part of my presentation, I'm gonna talk about foreman and host group basics. So before going further and to avoid any confusion, I want to highlight three important elements in satellite-6. So the first thing is the content view. So I already discussed content view in part number 1, but just to highlight it again. So content view determines what content is available. And when we talk about content, we're talking about packages, Puppet modules, and their versions. The second important element is the environment, which is always related to a content view. So the environment, it's the current. If we go to the environment, this is the environment. So the environment is the current service, the current software life cycle. So this is the point in time of a system. Is it in development? Is it in production? And finally, which is the third element, which is the subject of this part of presentation, it's the host group. So the host group is from the environment and available content what actually gets applied to a system. That's what we call host group. So remember that a system belongs to a host group, and that host group has an environment and the content view associated with it. Okay, so within the host groups, the host group's configuration, the environment and content view are selected, and then Puppet classes are chosen. Choosing Puppet classes in what effectively controls software and configuration on a system. Recall the message of the day module. So let's look inside it. If I go to configure Puppet classes and let's find the message of the day module. So this is the default value of the message of the day, and by the way, all this module does is to put this little text here, this is the default message, into /etc/message of the day. So this is a very simple module. However, Puppet as a tool can be very, very powerful in enforcing configuration management. So in my example, I have a host group named, so this is a base host group that has been created to apply this module. Okay, so if I go to my host groups, and mainly talking about rel6 SOV group. So if we look at this host group, note that the life cycle environment is development, the content view is rel6 SOV, my satellite server is both at the same time the Puppet certificate authority and the Puppet master. And if I go to the location, so this is part of my default location. Okay, now if I go to my client, let me connect again to my client, and let's run some Puppet configuration commands. So if I do, well, before running the commands, let's look at the status of my system from the graphical interface. So if I go to my hosts, all hosts. So this is my my client. Puppet has been pre-configured on this client system. Let's make it do something by setting up the message of the day. Okay, so if I click on my system here, so these are the Puppet details or detailed page about my system. We will talk more about it later, but for now, just take note of the following settings. So the host group is rel6 SOE. The lifecycle environment is development, and the content view is rel6 SOE. Okay, so the three parameters, or the two parameters, are combined here. As I said, these are very related. So if I go to the terminal now and I run some puppet agent commands, so for example, if I do puppet agent -test -no operation -1 time. So basically I want to run this command just to simulate what will happen, so that's why I'm using -no operation. It will not effectively apply any configuration, and I just want to run it for one time. Okay, so the result should be this. And let's discuss what just happened here. So first, the default Puppet agent configuration operates in the production environment, as you can see here. Okay. Our Puppet master tells us that we are in the KT My Organization development. Here, if you look at this string here, rel6 SOE environment. So this is the naming, or the naming here is just an artifact of how pulp works under the cover. So that makes sense so far. The Puppet master then hands us a catalog to run, and this is where the interesting stuff starts to happen. We see a notice about the file etc.motd here. Okay, so as you can see here, we see a notice about the file, and we see some diff output. So if you remember the output of the command diff, this is basically the same. So Puppet looked at the MD5 sum of the existing etc.motd, so that it did not match what the manifest thinks it should be. So it knows there needs to be a change. Puppet then showed us what the diff is between the current etc.motd and what it should be. So if you look at the plus sign, as you can see, the original file has this text. So this is the content, the current content of etc.motd, and this is what the content should be as per the MOTD Puppet module. Okay, it also notified us about some refresh events which are beyond the scope of the training course. If you want to elaborate more, I will advise that you look at some Puppet configuration. Okay, so let's look at the file. If we just cat the file etc.motd, this is the current content, as I said. So it says warning, the system is blah blah blah. Okay, and what will happen now if we repeat the previous command, but this time we will just skip the no op, so we will execute actually the operation. It should be effective. So now we see that the content of the file, if we do cat/etc.motd, and as you can see, the file has been overwritten. Okay, and now we get the message that comes from the Puppet module. So think about this. You have hundreds or tens of servers. You need to do any modification to your network settings, to the configuration of your applications, to any other file, package, service. We can centralize this using Puppet we can do it from satellite and push it immediately to apply to all systems in fully automated way without any risk of doing manual things and doing mistakes. Okay, now if we go back to our graphical interface and try to explain a bit what we get here. So hosts, all hosts, and if we click on our system and then we look at the reports, so I can see that there are many reports depending on how many times Puppet agent was executed. So if we look, for example, at the latest one that was executed 1 minute ago, so you will see the information about what happened on our system here. If we had not run with -- test mode, none of the info, okay, information here or items would have been recorded. However, even without them, there would be very valuable information about the status of our system. For example, the fact that the MOTD file was changed by Puppet here. Okay, so if we want to look at the difference, for example, if we click on view difference, this link will show us the, what has been changed from the previous state of the file. Okay, let's go back to our module. So, talking about Puppet modules, there is a very interesting thing. So the way we change the content of the message here, we did it through what we call a smart class parameter. So the first line declares the message of the day class and also involves the use of a parameter here. Okay, in this case the parameter is just the message here. This is called a parameterized class. Most published Puppet modules of any quality involve parameterized classes because that's how they are made useful. This is how we can make the dynamic change to our packages or to our applications. In the case of Foreman or Satellite-6, smart class parameters are one way we can pass specific parameters into a system. It was not there until Puppet 2.6.5, but fortunately we have it now. So Foreman has been around for quite some time, and you will also see smart variables in the user interface. In the case that a module is being used that does have variables inside but does not use parameterized classes, in that case a smart variable would be the only way to do the override. Generally speaking, good practice is to parameterize all classes, and in some cases have a dedicated class that provides default values. That's outside the scope of the course, but this is a very good best practice. So we can override the message using the smart class parameter if we keep working with this simple example. So if we go to smart class variables and we select override, for example here, override the box. So we can put basically any text here. For example, we can say welcome to satellite-6 demo. Have fun. Okay. Then we submit. So technically speaking, having anything related to welcome in the message of the day could have legal implications with regards to hackers or intruders, but this is just for testing purposes, so we can put anything. So how do you think that this change will impact the client system? Let's see. So let's have a look. We're gonna run the same command again. Minus no up. So here again, we see that Puppet thinks the content of the etc motd file should be different, and this time it should have our new welcome message. If you look here, so this is our a new message, and yeah, so this is extremely powerful because by changing one setting in the satellite-6 interface, we could have ultimately affected tens of thousands of systems on their next Puppet run. So of course there are many other commands that many other things that we can do with Puppet. We just, because this is out of the scope of the presentation, but if you just say Puppet agent minus help, this should show all the other options that we can do with Puppet. We can maybe do another example. So let's say we want to add another module. For example, we can configure the NTP module. So let's see what variables come into NTP. So for NTP, we have many smart class parameters. We have more than one, and we are more interested here into the servers. Let's say we want to change our NTP servers. So for the NTP servers, it will be, first we need to allow override, and this won't be string, it will be an array. And here I will just, it's actually YAML syntax, so I will just say, okay, I will use 0 north, for example, America pool.ntp.org. okay, scroll down and click on submit, and now we can do a test Puppet run on our client system and see what happened. So first we need to make sure that this module is part of our system. Puppet classes, so we need to add the NTP to the host group. Okay, done, submit. and as you can see I have some messages about the NTP configuration here. As you can see, there is difference between the old file and the expected configuration. So if I run the same command without no op, then check my NTP configuration, and as you can see I have a new server. So Puppet has installed everything we need with the configuration that we want. Remember that this could be applied in one shot to tens, hundreds, thousands of systems at once. Thank you.